In the modern world, diet advice is endless: keto, paleo, gluten-free, low-carb, high-protein. Every week brings a new trend, a new superfood, a new promise. But beneath all the noise, one intervention has consistently shown more scientific promise than almost any other: caloric restriction. At the Buck Institute, Dr. Pankaj Kapahi has spent decades uncovering why eating less at the right times, in the right ways, can profoundly influence the biology of aging.
One of the things I've been very interested in is fasting. Why does diet restriction extend lifespan? This is a very simple and robust intervention that we all have access to, and it's been known for almost 90 years now that restricting calories in mice can extend lifespan by 50%. So I've always thought that, wow, just imagine if you could change your lifestyle and improve your dietary habits, could you get an extra decade or more out of your life? And that's been a question that's really driven a lot of the research in my lab. Unfortunately, the answer isn't going to be simple. We would all like to see this fasting pill that would work for all. The answer is going to be much more complex. The reason is we think that aging interventions are likely to be different for men and women. They have different biology, right? They're going to be different at different ages. The things you need when you're older are different from when you're younger. For example, restricting protein extends lifespan and has been shown to be beneficial in younger adults. But it's not something you want to do when you're over 75. I think we've got to appreciate the complexity. Aging is a very complex process, so the interventions aren't going to be simple either. When you're younger, you're much more adaptable, right? So you can switch your metabolism according to the need or the situation much more easily. That's something you lose with age. And the other thing that happens is you tend to use more glucose when you're older. So there's something very famous called the Warburg effect, where cancer cells end up using more sugar, and that's why they grow faster. So we found that the same thing happens when you're eating more. So under what we call ad libitum conditions, when the animal is allowed to eat as much, they use glycolysis or sugar more compared to when they're fasting. So under dietary restriction, you switch over to using lipids or fat. And that's actually really beneficial because we think using lipids is a cleaner way to generate energy. And we are also studying this further by studying the process of glycation. So we've found that when you use glucose, the cell produces more damaging products. And we call these glycation products. We all are familiar with these because every time you're cooking, for example, if you made toast, it generates 50 plus new flavors, new advanced glycation end products. And these are just formed by the combination of sugars and amino acids reacting at higher temperatures. Unfortunately, the same thing is happening in our body. So slowly, with age, and especially in diabetes, our bodies are sort of toasting away. And we are trying to find ways to sort of mitigate this. One of the other things we're finding is circadian clocks are very important, meaning eating at the right time also becomes important. So everyone doesn't have to do 16-8 fasting regime, but at least people should be eating in a 10 to 12 hour window. I think fiber is one of the most underappreciated things. Increasing fiber in our food is very critical. In addition to sort of improving our gut, it actually helps balance out the sugar as well. So the ratio of fiber to carbohydrates is actually important. Then lowering sources of simple carbohydrates. Try to eat whole foods. And then finally, there's a rule in Japan, I think makes sense: eat up to when you're 80% hungry. Try to not eat to complete fullness, but to sort of slightly less than that.